Hello, my name is Ginny Dye. Welcome to today's Burst of Hope. My gift to the world, because everyone needs hope. You know, I'm reminded almost every day of an experience I had with my grandfather many years ago when I was very young. He and I were visiting a very old family homestead. There was only the crumbling foundation of a house and an old rusty water pump to the side. My grandfather rolled up his sleeves on that hot summer day, walked over to the pump, knocked off some corrosion and cobwebs, and began to pump. I watched dubiously, wisely deciding to stay in the shadow of the nearby oak tree. I was young, but not too young to believe he was nuts to think he could get anything to come out of that rusty old pump. He saw my expression, smiled, winked, and kept pumping. Hard. Many minutes passed. The only water being produced was the sweat pouring down his face as he stood in the hot sun and pumped that rusty handle. He kept pumping. The sweat now had his shirt plastered to his body and he was breathing hard. He kept pumping. I was getting thirsty just watching him. But something else was happening. Watching him pump so hard with such a fierce look of determination had turned my skepticism into hope. Just maybe he wasn't crazy. Just maybe there was water somewhere deep beneath the earth that he was going to magically make appear. Just maybe something would come out that would quench my thirst. He kept pumping. It's going to come out any minute now, Jenny girl. You watch, it's coming. Just then I heard a faint gurgling sound that came from that rusty old pump. I leapt forward from the shade of my oak tree and knelt down in the hot sun beside that pump. Come on, pump! Come on! My grandfather laughed and pumped even harder. His whole body drenched in sweat. The gurgling got louder, but there was still nothing coming out of that rusty old contraption. Come on, pump! Come on! I yelled. I was determined water was going to come out. Several minutes more passed. Sweat poured from my grandfather and glistened on my own face as I stared with hope at the old pump. Flies and bumblebees buzzed through the summer air. And then it happened. The gurgling exploded from the pump in one small drop of water. One small drop? All that work for one small drop? Well, I was dismayed. My grandfather laughed and kept pumping, even harder if it were possible. It's coming, Jenny girl! That little drop was just the beginning. You keep watching. Doubtful this old pump could quench my burning thirst, I nevertheless remained at my post and willed the pump to release more water. Another drop. Then a bigger drop. Then a series of drops that turned into a tiny stream. It's coming! I screamed, dancing in excitement. It's coming! Let's have a drink! It didn't matter to me that it was faintly rust-colored. It was water. Not yet, my grandfather panted. If we stop pumping now, we'll lose the momentum. Run to the car and get some cups. Well, I was too young to understand momentum. I wasn't too young to understand the stream was getting bigger. And I wasn't too young to understand that my grandfather kept pumping just as hard. It took only moments to run to the car and return with 2 cups. I continued to dance with excitement, swirling with the butterflies that had been drawn by all the excitement. It only took a few minutes more before suddenly the stream of water turned from a rather rusty-looking trickle into a gushing torrent of cold, clear water, splashing onto the dry ground and quickly forming a small lake. Now, I screamed, now! Now, my grandfather replied, reaching eagerly for the cups and filling them to the brim. He kept pumping, though not nearly as hard as we satisfied our thirst. I laughed as he put his whole head under the cold waterfall and washed off the sweat, and then removed his shirt and used it as a washcloth to cool his body before putting it back on. Then he turned to me with the look that said he had something to tell me. Jenny girl, just because you can't see something doesn't mean it's not there. You just got to believe it's there and keep pumping until it works its way up to you. Most people would have given up, thinking it was too hard. I knew there was water there. I was just going to pump until it came up. Well, that lesson stuck. And so I share this story with you today. The water in the old well is just like success in your life. So many people will step up to the pump and pump for a few minutes. When they don't see results, they walk away. Some people will pump a little longer before they walk away, convinced their efforts are futile. There are even those that will pump until they hear the gurgle or even witness the small rusty-colored stream and then walk away, exhausted by their efforts and convinced it's all in vain. And then there are those people that simply won't quit pumping until a torrent of washing water is creating all they dream of for their life. They refuse to give up hope. They decide to believe it is possible, and they let hope carry them until they see the results of their efforts. So the question is, which are you? You know my definition of hope. Hope is the bird that sings to the dawn while it is still dark. You can choose to sing before the light starts flooding into your life, believing it will come. My greatest hope is that you will choose hope, that you will keep pumping. Until next time.